Tools, tools, tools. Okay, so as I'm going to wrap this all up here before dinner, I'm thinking the question that everybody has on their mind coming to this event is this really going to happen? You know, you all are here, you came to see new machines, you came to see things happening out there. Can we turn it into chips? Can we move it in a certain form or fashion? But the big question is, with woody biomass, are we really going to go anywhere with this? And which one is the forward button? Yep. So, for some perspective on that, Dallas was showing the neat picture of Felkers Machine. This was the machine that was outside the lab when I started in Forest Service research in 1983 back in Auburn, Alabama, the Nicholson-Koch mobile chip harvester. And back then we had another energy crisis, and we were looking for ways that we could go after recovering woody biomass because it was going to save the day. Very similar to the kinds of machines that we were looking at today. This thing drives along, big cutter bar in the front, turns it into chips, blows it into something that's coming along behind. That machine, we saw it headed west into Texas somewhere, chewing up mesquite in about 1987 or so, and then the funding went away, and we aren't sure where the machine is today. But we have a new, the same question happening. Well, it worked. There we go. As we look at the developments in woody biomass right now. And the poster child for this is this thing right here, which is Range Fuels in Soperton, Georgia. And so when people are looking at, is woody biomass really viable? Is it something that's going to take off? Are we going to put fuel in our cars made from wood chips? Range Fuels got $76 million in DOE funding, an $80 million USDA loan guarantee, $100 million in private capital. They turned out 100,000 gallons of ethanol, and then they closed the plant down. And the issues are complex. It's not completely closed down. It's still a possibility. But when that happened, it raised this issue of, is it really going to happen? Is woody biomass something that's really going to come along, or is it just another flash in the pan? When we look at this issue, part of the problem is this is such a complex system. There's so many different interacting pieces and parts, and there's so many unknowns and questions about all of it. And so let me just highlight a few of these here. So the Lorax up here in the upper left is public perception, social license for doing this kind of stuff. People aren't sure yet about what they think about woody biomass. Do they like it? Do they don't like it? There's some great things about it, but there's some things about it that people have concerns. The conversion process are really unknown. Public policy is changing. The economics change. The transportation issues you were talking about, fuel costs going up and how that changes the picture. Global markets are going on. And then the resource itself. How are we going to treat this thing? All these pieces fit together, and you got to answer all the questions before you can solve the problem. So the contractor can't go out and tell the equipment manufacturer, I'm willing to spend $500,000 on that piece of machine, until the agency is ready to say, we've got projects that we're going to do, and they're going to produce this kind of wood, and that's not going to happen until somebody's willing to put a plant in, and it's the chicken or egg kind of thing. A big problem is getting past the complexity of the system, trying to answer all these questions to sort out, is it going to work or not? And so I put this slide up here, which is split on the two sides. On the left, I've got not in our lifetime, and on the right, I've got it's going to happen. So if you're the pessimist, you can be on the left-hand side, the optimist on the right there. There's some sense that people say fossil energy is always going to be cheaper. Natural gas prices drop down. Oh gosh, there's so much coal out there, et cetera, et cetera. What's the price of fossil energy? Folks say conversion's too hard, that fundamentally changing a wood chip into a liquid that you're going to run your car with is chemistry that's too far beyond what makes economic sense. There's not really enough wood out there. I've heard that one quite a few times, and we've done a number of studies trying to see if we have 1 billion tons of biomass laying around somewhere that nobody else wants. There's folks that think trees and forests should not be used for energy. There's folks that say that policy incentives, which are the drivers right now, are not something we ought to build a market around. The policy could change the next time Congress meets, and then where are you going to be? So lots of negatives, lots of concerns on the left-hand side. The optimists are going to look at it, and I tend to be on the optimist side, is that our energy supply has to change. if you look at presentations, and we could get much more detailed ones, but you look at all the issues around the way we use energy and produce energy and the world uses energy, it can't keep going the way it's going. It's going to have to change. We're going to have to do it in a new way, and there's new technical breakthroughs that are happening out there. There's smart people that are working on these problems, just like Dallas was pointing out, and somebody's going to figure out the magic bullet that's going to change things. We can grow more wood. You know, if you look at what we got out there right now and you're worried about how much we got, well, if you give me a market, we're going to find more wood. That's how markets respond. Biomass use can improve our resource condition. It's a tool for us, and the world is not going to wait for us. There's things changing beyond our shores. We can sit here and debate about whether it's going to work or not, but the markets in Europe are going to change it for us. So as we're looking at this question, is it really going to happen? Are we a pessimist or an optimist? It does work. I would point out, as I mentioned about European markets, there's a lot of wood moving in the world today to meet people's desire for renewable energy. They just opened a pellet plant in Georgia. 750,000 dry tons of pellets a year from that one facility are slated to go to the European market. That's over 1.5 million green tons of wood going into that one plant. It's going to be the largest pellet plant in the world when it's put, actually, as it has been turned on. It's going now. Another one, 500,000 tons a year, is under construction on the waterways. If you look at pellet development in the southern United States, huge growth. The reason is Europe wants renewable energy. They're looking for places where they can find wood that they can say is sustainably produced and that they can certify that, and that's where that wood is going to go. This is the world's largest biomass-only power plant, 350 megawatts, 3 million bone dry tons of wood chips a year, and they're going to get it from the U.S. and from Canada. Okay. I would also point out the world's figuring out how this all works. These technical changes are coming. There's people out there working in their garages right now or in research laboratories or other fancy places, and they're coming up with all sorts of new and exciting things. In the area of conversion, I just mentioned a couple of these. We have a project with a small company in Alabama that's working on fast pyrolysis. And everybody knows fast pyrolysis, you gasify the wood, you get a sticky stuff out the back end of it, the little black jar down here, the liquid bio-oil, nasty stuff. It's really not very good for things. But his magic is he's got a blending process on the back end, and they say that the output will be a drop-in fuel that I can put in the tank of my car when it comes out of that. So developments in fast pyrolysis. Pelletization. You know, we're making pellets. A typical pellet today is the squeeze it together, clean wood kind of stuff, or maybe it's going to be an industrial grade pellet. Pellets are changing. There's new technologies for breaking wood apart other than grinding and chipping and processing and turning into pellets that create a pellet that's even denser. Not necessarily torrefied yet, but could be. Torrefaction, that word was mentioned. Torrefaction processes are moving along. There's a company in the Netherlands that we've been talking to, Topel, and they have just opened, done their commissioning on a 60,000 ton per year torrefied pellet plant in the Netherlands. You know, commercial scale kind of thing. And torrefied pellets are one of these magic breakthroughs that are going to make wood more compatible with coal, which is going to fit better into the way we use energy in this country. So these things are changing and developing as we speak. We also have the new technology in the woods, and I didn't want to play any favorites with my friends that are here, so I used somebody else's machine in the picture I put up there today. But when we look at the things that are happening in the woods, all the engineering effort that's being put into improving forest machines. Got new ways to cut trees down, new ways to chip them up, new ways to carry them, new ways to do that in a way that's environmentally sensitive, that's not going to hurt the ground, new ways that's going to make it safer and more productive for operators. There's been a lot of development in forest equipment, and you saw a lot of that happening in the woods out here. I would comment, we have a project that we're doing in the southern United States where they're looking at intensive management for energy wood. Very different kind of picture. Trees all planted in rows, 5-foot kind of spacing, grow them for 10 years, whack them down, plant them again, you know, agricultural kind of model. And we're building new forest machines that are going to be high-speed shears rather than saws that are going to be able to clip those trees at a rate that'll make it productive and cost-effective. So lots of new developments going on. But now let's bring it back to Utah. Let's bring it back to your backyard. You have a different flavor of woody biomass and woody bioenergy that's going to happen here. You've got a different kind of resource. You got different kinds of challenges for the technology, for the conversion. You're not going to look like range fuels. You're probably not going to look like a big torrefied pellet plant to send things to Europe. It's going to be something different for y'all. What you have here, I would characterize as both an opportunity and a challenge. And the opportunity, the thing that you've got going for you, is what Robin was just talking about, is that in the western United States, you have a significant resource that needs to be treated for lots of other reasons. It's not just the energy that's in it, it's all the other benefits that society can derive by moving this vegetation off the landscape. Great opportunity. When we talk about, people are coming in and they're saying, well, where can we find wood? We've got the billion-ton study and we're trying to round up all the different places that there's wood in the United States. And we look in that and we're saying, well, there's so much in logging residues, there's so much in this kind of thing or that kind of thing. Pinyon juniper sits out there as one of the big, significant potential volumes of woody material that people could use. So then people go, well, where is that? How can I get it? Okay, got to go to Utah and talk to the folks out there. The challenge is trying to access that in a cost-effective way. And so let me emphasize this point, is that being successful in this area of woody biomass and woody biomass development, wishful thinking doesn't get us there. It's got to be economic reality. And so if I'm doing an operation, I'm going to turn this into electricity, for example, and we saw the example of the values of kilowatt hours, et cetera. The value of that material on the market has some cost up here, some value up here. And then I got to pay the trucker. And then I got to pay the logger that got it out to roadside, and I got to pay somebody to chip it up. And if I can make all that happen, and I haven't used up all the value, maybe there's some payment that would go back to the landowner. That's kind of the bar on the left is showing that little green box down at the bottom is maybe there's some places where the landowner could actually get a benefit. As an agency, I represent the public, and I'd sure love to be able to get some value back out of woody biomass that we could use to manage your public lands and be able to get more management done. If we can do woody bioenergy treatments that return value to the land, that'd be great. More than likely, we're going to be looking at the economic profile that's there on the right. We got some fixed value of this stuff in the market for energy, for electricity, for liquid fuel, whatever it might be. We start subtracting out all these costs, and we're probably going to be a little below zero, but we're not going to be as far below zero as it would have been otherwise. And so we'll be able to do the treatments in a more cost-effective way for the public, for the land, if we have woody biomass as part of that opportunity. So let me wrap it up here. My stomach's growling. So the summary, the crystal ball, I would say is that the new technology's coming. And I put in parentheses there next year. Everybody always says, well, when's that torrefied pellet going to be ready? When's that pyrolysis oil going to be ready? And oh, we're about a year away. It's getting real close. I got to think that. It's getting real close. We also know that the economics of this whole thing are changing. The value of energy and of renewables as a component of that energy have to go up. So the economic hurdle that we face is not getting steeper, it should be getting easier for us. And there's going to be successful projects. My point there is that as we look at your opportunities, the things that are going to be successful are the ones where we can make all those complicated pieces of the puzzle come together. The policy, the conversion opportunity, the landowner, the management opportunity, and make the resource available, people that are willing to take a chance and try something new, where all those pieces are going to come together in a few places, we're going to be able to have some successful projects. And that's going to be the first step. But to make that happen, partnerships are going to be critical. That's the great thing about this meeting. The opportunity we have here is to have all of us together talking about the problems and opportunities that we have. Looking forward to a great future. Thank you.